To the bronze final for the Rapier and Dagger.
So that is Francesco Loda of Rome, Italy. Who will be read this evening.
In the blue corner, from Moczlak Lodz in Poland, Alexander Dynarek.
There's Alexander Dynarek from Łódź, Poland. Very young man.
And in the red corner, from Accademia Romana d'Armi in Italy, Francesco Loda.
One of the interesting things about Francesco Loda is that he practices his rapier almost exclusively from sources that are found in the Roman tradition. That is Renaissance Rome, and from the 1600s. And primarily the teachings of the Marcelli family. He focuses on those treatises. So, initial circling. Each one feeling the other one out, either one daring to make an initial thrust, edging into the edge of measure. Francesco reaching out, touches opponent's blade just a little with his rapier, now with his dagger, closing the line.
Francesco's the master of lulling you in, making you misjudge the distance between you and the tip of his sword. So when his thrusts come, they seem so seamless.
Right, and so the thing is, you've got a slight height difference here. Francesco is taller than the young Pole, but you've got an age difference. You see the Pole bouncing, very athletic. He told me earlier that he is cross-training with épée, so there's a little bit of a sport fencing training that he has. Francesco, though.
But with age comes wisdom.
That's right. Old age and cunning will beat youth and innocence any day. That's what I like to think, at least. Francesco taunting him, touching his blade, trying to get him to make some sort of a rash move, which Francesco intends to take advantage of in contratempo. And looked like an extension by Dynarek. It looked like a parry by... it was a head cut by
Francesco.
one and a thrust by the other, and... Okay, so I think there was a failed parry on the thrust that landed, and then a cut to the head.
Three points blue, 1 point red, so it's deducted. So you have 2 points blue. So 3 points is a thrust to the body or head, and a cut yields 1 point, and that is to promote thrusting in rapier. Interesting, Alexander not waiting but rushing in.
It's interesting. Looked to me like that thrust was parried downward by Loda, but hard to say.
One point each. It means double hit with cuts.
Loda's starting to take a more aggressive attitude to keep Dynarek in his place. You saw a couple of aggressive attacks by Dynarek, and Loda realizing he needs to take the fight to the enemy.
Attempted thrust by Loda, parried by Dynarek, and counter thrust by the Russian. Sorry, the Pole.
The Pole from Łódź.
Loda's not finding his range in this fight. He's not finding that, as I mentioned earlier, he's the master of lulling you in and then making those seamless thrusts come from nowhere. But he's struggling to find that distance with Dynarek. And we see that at the end of the first round now. Dynarek's 8 points to 0, which technically Loda's only 3 clean cuts away, so he can turn this around. But it's an uphill battle.
And psychologically, of course, that's definitely tough to overcome. Dynarek has proven himself to be pretty dynamic, very aggressive, and that counts.
And he uses his dagger. He's parried those thrusts from Loda and countered. The composure in that.
So we have our fight beginning once again. The old wolf fighting the young ferret from Poland. Another thrust landed by Dynarek. 11-0. It's like a thrust that was attempted by Loda, but was parried, followed by a cut by him, but he landed on a thrust, I believe, by... Yep. Ran in on a thrust.
The story of this fight is Alexander's dagger work. He's really parrying those charges Loda coming with and in with and countering. Francesco Loda, 2-time Swordfish champion.
Not finding his game tonight. Cut to the hand, parried by the dagger. Oh, beautiful thrust by Dynarek. Attempted a low cut by Loda, avoided. Dynarek assuming an insurmountable lead at this point in time. Francesco Loda increasingly desperate, resorting to a series of cuts at the head, which landed. Finally, a point to Loda, but too little, too late. Another thrust landed by Dynarek. It looked like it was to the torso to me, but looked like a cut landed maybe to the arm by Loda. Beautiful thrust to the face by Loda.
He says hallelujah.
He says hallelujah. He finally landed a thrust. And it looked to me like he parried the after blow, but we'll see what the judges have said. Dynarek charging, looked like with the thrust to the face or the upper body. Landing for 3 points. And that is our bout. Quite an upset. 22 points for the young Pole from Łódź, Poland, against 3 for the experienced Francesco Loda.
Yeah, he's super happy, and that's a big victory, you know, against a guy like Francesco Loda, and just shutting him down in the way that the Pole did, Rick?